The spread of the coronavirus. The World Health Organization says the risk of the virus expanding worldwide.
One person with coronavirus in King County.
今回安倍総理が全国での臨時休校要請という異例の決断をした背景には何があったのか、国会記者会館から中継です。
Hey, what's up guys? It's Leon. 皆さんこんにちはレオンです。はい。今日はちょっとね真面目な内容になります。昨今ですね、すごく話題になっている、コロナウイルスですけども、聞いたことない人はいないかなと思います。コロナウイルスの流行によってですね、いろんなところで打撃があったりだとか、いろんな変化がですね今社会で起きている、ところだと思うんですけども、コロナウイルスで今ですね、かなりの多くの人がですね、致死率だったりだとか、何人かかったとか、そういったですね、数的なものにねかなりとらわれていると思うんですけども、それ以外にもですね、例えばコロナウイルスによる差別だったりとかっていうのがですね、日本国内ではあまり見られないかもしれないんですけども、アメリカとかですね、海外では、ちらほらと見え始めてきています。で、この前ですね、最近ですね、母からちょっと連絡があって知ったんですけども、ニューヨークの地下鉄でですね、マスクをつけていた中国人女性がですね内で、病気呼ばわりをされて、暴行を受けてしまったという事件があってですね、多分ここにちょっと動画を多分流してるかもしれないんですけども、こういったちょっとね、悲しい事件もいろいろあったりとかしています。ということでですね、カリフォルニアには私は住んでいますし、大学生をやっていて、今現時点ですね、かなりカリフォルニアではそういった差別というかいうのはあんまり見られないかなと思うんですけども、つい最近 UCLA のパブリックヘルスのですね教授のギルバート G教授ですかね、彼がですねとても面白いことを、ニュースでインタビューで言っていたので、それについてですね、今日は翻訳を僕がしながら、それを、皆さんにシェアできたらいいなと思って、この動画作りました。で、彼がですね言っているのは感染症による、差別的思考の形成ですねっていうのをお話ししています。本当のコロナの脅威とかいうのはですね、差別とかにあるよみたいな話を、していてですね、私も UCLA の学生ですので UCLA の教授ということでかなり親近感もあって、たまたまその見つけた記事がですねとても面白かったので、今回はそれについて皆さんに知っていただけたらいいなと思いました。では今からですね、今からインタビューの動画とその翻訳を下に僕が書いたので、それを皆さんに見ていただきたいです。なんですけども、とにかく、翻訳はですね僕本当に数時間でもうパパパーっと作りました。なので、もしかしたら、部分的に間違っているところもあるかもしれませんし、そこは、ちょっとご愛嬌という感じで見ていただけたら、助かります。ではこちらのインタビューをどうぞ。
Gilbert G. is a professor at UCLA's Fielding School of Public Health, and he says it reminds him of what happened during the SARS crisis and also in the United States during the AIDS crisis. And as the battle against the coronavirus continues, G tells our Hari Srinivasan about the hidden cost of epidemics.
So, Professor G, we have reports now of hate crimes in the New York City subway system, for example, where an Asian woman wearing a mask was attacked and called diseased. How far back does this history go of using health to discriminate against people?
Yeah, it goes back a couple hundred years, and part of it really has to do with, I think, justifying slavery. It's kind of a difficult proposition to say that we are in a democracy and at the same time have multiple classes of people that are stratified purely based on their race. And so one way to get out of that intellectual moral conundrum is to say that other races are not equal to us in terms of being human beings. And so we have a long history of using science as a way to justify race differences. There was a pseudoscience called Phrenology where they purported to measure, say, bumps on people's heads and then from there infer things like intelligence. So we've had a long history of actually medicine and public health and scientific research that's been used to justify that, hey, these racial groups are actually fundamentally different in terms of their physiology. So from that understanding of this basis that, or this belief that racial groups are biologically different, that's when we start to have these continuing sort of conflations of, this disease has broken out and it's sort of common amongst this population, and so therefore we need to be careful and watch out about that population. Maybe what the policy response would be to deport them or to quarantine them or to not let them into our country or to this particular city.
You know, the West Coast has a longer history with Asians than the rest of the country does. What were some of the things that happened around the turn of the century, or I should say the turn of the previous century, now that we're in 2020, but in the late 1800s and the 1900s, where you could see these kind of racially discriminatory policies have a root in public health concerns?
As you mentioned, states like California had a fairly large population of, say, Chinese immigrants and as well as immigrants from other countries. And basically what happened was a lot of these immigrants were used as strikebreakers. And so then what happened is the local workers, American workers, were quite unhappy with that and started to lobby, saying that we should exclude these individuals, and that they started to make connections not only in terms of economic grounds, but using public health as a justification. The idea that Chinese persons were prone to have leprosy and that, defending against leprosy was actually a good reason to exclude Chinese persons. So using public health, for example, as a rationale to systematically exclude individuals. So that would be like another example.
So why is it that this keeps repeating?
We have this belief system that racial groups have these innate attributes, and that's linked to disease. So, there used to be a thought that, for example, that even things like poverty were infectious in transmissible in some nature. So if you kind of think that we have this basis of understanding that certain racial groups are certain ways, and that if these groups have a sort of predisposition to be sick, and then suddenly they are coming in to infect all these other good people that aren't necessarily sick at this moment in time, then you can start to see how race and racism and disease starts to get conflated all together.
Now, look, this is also happening, and the backdrop is that the United States has declared a public health emergency. They're going to deny entry to foreign nationals who've been to mainland China. You've got private companies like Royal Caribbean Cruise Ship recently said that they are not going to allow anyone to board if they have passports from mainland China or Macau or Hong Kong. And then we also literally see countries evacuating their citizens out of specific regions of China. So, shouldn't people be concerned?
Well, with any outbreak, we should be concerned. This is a novel pathogen that we're encountering. And, we are, as human beings, considered what the epidemiologists call a virgin population. We don't have necessarily an immunity in the population that has encountered this specific coronavirus before, so our bodies are encountering it anew. But it's also important to keep what we're understanding in perspective. Right now we're still learning about the natural course of this disease and the biology of it. But currently the best estimate I've seen is right now the fatality rate is something like 3%. And if you put that in perspective of, say, something like SARS, I think the fatality rate for SARS was 10%, and I think MERS was something like 30%. So in sort of that big picture, it's relatively small. I'm not saying people should not be concerned. But if we start to put it in perspective, another way to think about it is influenza, the common flu, has, I think this year affected something like 19 million Americans. But we are not exactly panicking in the same way as we are with the coronavirus. And I think part of the reason is that we're so used to the flu and we're so used to having people, be sick to it that it's no longer a novel threat. So I think part of this reaction to the coronavirus is really part of is really the novelty of the disease.
You were just saying SARS. What are the things that we learned from that epidemic?
I think we learned a little bit more about coronaviruses in general. And certainly it's part of the same family, SARS and the novel one that we're encountering today. I think we're also learning a little bit more about being sensitive to communities and really trying not to stigmatize certain communities in relation to that. So I think currently the media response has been a lot better with regards to many media outlets saying, hey, let's not be xenophobic and let's try not to discriminate against certain groups of people.
You know, I was looking over some of the coverage. We've got papers in Australia who've done front page above the fold headlines such as China kids stay home. There's a paper in France that had a front page with words yellow alert or yellow fever. I mean, what are the public health consequences when a community is singled out or stigmatized?
So I think there's several layers to that. So first of all, I think that we understand from a growing body of literature that people who experience discrimination tend to get sicker. And so experiencing discrimination triggers a stress response, and that in turn can lead to other kinds of illnesses that are above and beyond what we're seeing with the coronavirus. It can have sort of long-term effects on things possibly like cellular aging, heart disease, and everything. So there are some long-term effects that might be related to sort of these short-term experiences of discrimination and xenophobia in that sense. I think another piece of it is, we run the risk of allowing for it okay to be discriminatory in our societies. And I think many societies are really trying to move away from that. But diseases somehow allow people to express their xenophobia.
It seems logistically also, if you singled out communities, they might be less willing to come forward when they do have symptoms.
Yeah. And we see that in other cases. So, for example, research on HIV and other things like that, where we find that diseases are stigmatized. A lot of times people become reluctant to seek help because they don't want to be further stigmatized. And it can certainly be a problem where people decide, I'm just going to hold myself underground because people are going to discriminate against me. So that certainly can happen.
What responsibility do you think that the Chinese government plays in how this information has created this environment? Meaning, one of the things that we know in the past is that they have tried to keep a lid on things. And in this particular case, we recently just had the reports that the doctor who was a whistleblower, one of the doctors who was a whistleblower who tried to get the word out about this in December, the local authorities actually chastised him and penalized him for it. And he's just recently died of the virus. So if you're a government, if you're trying to both take care of your people and of your image, what's the best thing that they should have done, could have done?
I think probably a better thing to do would be to first not chastise and do exactly what they did. I think it's, especially in this global world that we live in, my opinion is that more transparency, the better, and the more we can communicate with scientists and medical practitioners so that we can have a better understanding of, where the diseases are originating, what exactly is happening, how things are being communicated. Because in the world we live in, where we have transportation that takes us literally to all corners of the earth, it's really important, I think, for scientists and governments to cooperate with each other and be as transparent as possible so we have information and so that we can move rapidly and use accurate information.
So what's a government to do to try to prevent the surface level discrimination and structural discrimination if they have a population that is scared?
Yeah. So I think an important thing is to have consistency in the communications. So in the broader literature on disaster communications, it's really important to have messages that are coming, say, from the health department and from your physicians and other places such as school principals, all giving somewhat consistent information. Because I think what happens is when the public is getting information from source A and source B and they're conflicting, then people get really confused. And that's when people start to get much more scared and feel like things are not under control. So the more consistency we can have with messaging, with the more these different bodies can communicate with one another and provide accurate information in a timely manner as possible, I think that's one of the better case scenarios.
If you could just compare the responses, you've been studying things like MERS and SARS and even this coronavirus. Compare that, let's say, to HIV or to Ebola, things that had kind of the world on edge.
Well, let's see. I'm not an expert on a lot of those other outbreaks, but I do think that we're in a different moment in time. I do think that the internet and the information environment is quite different than what we had before. We've learned some lessons from the past. We're more careful now to not label diseases and conflate them with people. So like using HIV as an example, one of the early names for it was GRID, which was gay-related immune disease, which obviously singled out a specific population. And we know that, even though people can discriminate, diseases don't. And so it's something for us to really pay attention to. I think there's definitely a long way to go in terms of, teaching all of us to, and always to remind ourselves that, we can't and shouldn't stigmatize individuals and discriminate against them simply because disease originated in a certain place in the world.
Professor G, thanks so much for your time. Professor Gilbert G from the School of Public Health at UCLA. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. This was a real pleasure.
はい、今のがですね、彼のインタビューになるんですけども、どうだったでしょうか。ちょっとね、上の方に僕が翻訳をしている姿がちらほらと見えていたと思うんですけども、かなりね、ちょっと長いインタビューがあったので、ちょっと急いで、翻訳を作った感じになります。彼が言っていることはすごく面白いですね。彼が言っているようにですね、致死率っていうのはかなり他の今までの感染病とですね、比べるとかなり低いと。だからそこまでのかかって死ぬみたいなところですね、心配しなくていいというふうに彼は言っているんですけども、それよりもですね、それによる差別的な考え方がかなり危ないよと言っていることですね、とても合理的ですごい面白い視点だなっていうふうに思いました。僕は個人的に思うこととしてはですね、今ですね、いろんなかなりメディアとかですね、コロナウイルスに対するいろんな電話が回ってるとか、どうせ致死率は低いし、そんなビビるんじゃねえ、あんまパニックんじゃねえみたいな、いろんなですね、ちょっとコロナウイルスをあんまり心配 しないでいいみたいな、ちょっと風潮のいろんなツイートがあったりとかして僕が思うんですけども、僕は個人的には、心配しないでいいとかいう視点を持つっていうよりも、過度にね、心配しておくこと、パニックになる必要はないと思うんですけども、過度に心配しておくことは大事なことかなと思います。っていうのも、そういうふうにね、大丈夫、心配しなくていいって言ってる人たちが、じゃあ実際に自分がかかったら同じことが言えるかっていうと、そうではないと思うんですよね。何が言いたいかっていうと、今ですね、インフルエンザとかいろんな比較がね出されてると思うんですけども、一つだけ多分僕が知っている範囲で違うと思うのは、今のところまだ特効薬、治療薬が明確に出されてないっていうのが、コロナウイルスのちょっと危ないところだと思って、インフルエンザとかだったらですね、治るから、そんな心配ないって、薬があるからって思うと思うんですけども、今のところとりあえず治療薬がないと、ただ統計で言うと致死率は低いっていう感じだと思うんですよね。だから、自分がなった時にこれが効くっていうような特効薬はないよと。でも統計的に致死率は低いよって言われても、自分がもしかかった時はそれだったらめちゃくちゃパニックりますよね。だって特効薬はないし、統計的に多分死なないだろうっていうだけの、考察なわけであって、だからそういう面においてやっぱりもちろん完璧にね防ぐことはもう絶対に難しいと思うんですけども、少なくとも手洗いうがいだったりとか、マスクもですね N95 レベルの規格のものを使えばわりかししっかりと防げるということで、いろんな自分で対策できることもねあったりとかすると思うので、あんまり注意力をね下げるんではなくて、パニックになる必要はないんですけども、ある程度自分のねスタンダードを持って、ちょっと警戒心を持っていただけたらいいのかなと思います。これはただの個人的な見解なんで、参考程度にというか、余談っていう感じでなったんですけども、今日は、面白い、インタビュー記事を見つけたので皆さんにシェアしました。いろんな意見があると思いますけども、それについてはね、動画の下のコメント欄とかに、残していただければいいと思います。ただし、あまりヘイトなコメントはないように、お願いいたします。ということで、That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed watching this video, hit the like button, leave some comments below if you have any questions. Also, don't forget to subscribe and see you guys in the next video. Bye! Bye-bye!